Hi, I'm Sally and this is the tutorial for my TV or computer monitor design or charm. For this tutorial I will be using Daisy Loom bands and I'll be using black and white, and the bands that I am using are all available in the Mega Value Pack. So I'll put all the details for that in the description box below. So let's make a start. So taking your loom, you want to put it in a straight configuration. So I'm going to use this tool that's on the end of my hook, and I'm just going to sort of lever the blue part of my loom off, like so. And as you can see, the middle part falls out. And I'm just going to put it so that they are straight, and then go push it down. Like so. So that all of the rows are the same length and they all finish at the same point. So taking two bands, I'm using black, and putting them across the end of my loom, and same again, so you have a line here. And then I'm going to go down once on each row. Like that. We will be making this design in two halves, otherwise you'll just find that you get a really narrow TV like screen. And we're going to switch, and I'm going to use white, but you can use grey or any colour that you wish, and I'm going down 3 times with my white along this row here. Like so. I'm going to do the same in the centre row. And then on the outside I'm going to use black again for the sort of outer part. This is all with 2 bands, just in case you're not sure. And then we're going to do a row of black along here. Like so. So this is what you should have so far. I'm going to take another 2 bands, and we're going to go straight across the bottom. So, like so. When I say straight across the bottom, I don't mean straight across the bottom, I mean, so I didn't explain that very well. You're going from the side into the centre, and then from the centre out to the sides with another set of bands. So that's my mistake. Like so. Place a cap band around this centre pin. So you're just taking a single band and you're just wrapping it around 2 or 3 times. I'm going to go twice just so it's a little bit easier to loop. But you don't want to do it too loose, otherwise with your finished design it will sort of sag a bit and it will look a bit rubbish. I'm going to make the second half just below it, and then we can add on this part onto this part, and it just saves having to mess about too much. So basically going to make the same thing as we have here, but we're going to make it in reverse. Okay, so again, taking 2 bands and we're going across. These shouldn't be attached, there should be a gap between these 2. Just drop my band in my loom. There we go. Again, we're going down once with 2 bands on each row. Excuse the noisy aeroplane outside. going down 3 times again with white, but we're doing it along this side this time. These bands are nice because they don't have your sort of typical loom bandy sort of odour. So I do find that sometimes if I'm looming a lot, this does give me a bit of a headache, makes me feel a bit ill, and I have to take a break and get some air. But with these, because you don't have that smell, you don't get the sort of illy sort of side effects, which is nice, really. It's a good thing. So they have a sort of fruity sort of smell. And they are nice to work with, these bands as well. Into my noisy guinea pig. Okay, and again we're going to go again along once with the black. Like so. And placing the bands across the bottom. It's quite a simple design, this, really. It's not too bad. Okay, so once you have your 2 halves laid out, like so. Oh, we need to put a cap band on here as well. Nearly forgot that one. We're going to add on bands along this edge here so that we can attach this half to this half. So we're just going to take a single band and you're just going to sort of double it back on itself. You can just drop it around, put it around and then twist it and put it back on itself. Or you can do it on your fingers, whichever you find easiest. For this design I'm going to do it this way. And you just want to use whichever colour you're going on to. Where you've got both colours, then that's entirely your choice. Okay. I'm going to use black. So you're just working your way all the way up your loom, like so. You need to add on some horizontal bands as well, and these will help to hold the whole design together. So if you want it to be really sort of tight and compact, double your bands. If you don't and you're not too worried, then you can do them as single bands. I'm going to use single bands on this one, and you can use whichever colour you want where you've got either colour on either side. I think I'm going to use black so it blends in on the outer edge. Okay. So you're just placing the horizontal bands along the 4 middle rows. You won't need them here and here because you've already got the bands that go horizontally. We're going to loop up this half and then add it onto the top half. So you're going to go in through your cap band, find the top 2 bands and loop them. Oh, I think I've got one of each there. And loop them onto whichever sides they've come from. You should get a nice little teardrop shape. Okay, and you go in and get the second ones, and you're working from the top for these ones. And then the last 2. So you should have this sort of shape here. And I'm just going to work straight up on each row up to the top. The horizontal bands that are right up on this end that we put on, I'm going to do right at the very end. And the horizontal bands that are holding it all together, or that will, when it's finished, you're just pushing those out of the way as you loop. going up the centre now. Oops. And he's being very noisy today. And once you go along the edge where you've got your little doubled bands, just push those out of the way as well. So you're only looping the bottom 2 bands. There's no exceptions on this one, unless you're going in through the cap band, or unless I say otherwise. I've only got one there, so I'm just going to go back and find the other one. It's there. Okay, so once you're at this stage and you've looped up everything up to this end here, you want to find, I don't know if you can see because of the other bit, on this pin, whichever set of bands is on top. So on the centre one, I'm not sure how clear it is, but I have the ones going between these 2 pins here are on top of these 2. So I'm going to go in through this pin here because these are the ones that are on top, pull it round and loop it into the centre. And that one's just jumped off of the pin because there's too many bands on that pin. There we go. And then I'm going to go in through the centre again here, and I'm going to loop onto the outer one. So when you finish, you will finish on an outside pin. So mine's this one here. And by doing it this way, if you loop the one that's on top last, they won't catch each other and they won't sort of loop together and they won't hold each other together. So to make sure that you loop the one that's on top first so the bottom one comes through and holds them all. I'm now going to take a single black band, placing my hook through this pin where I've just looped onto and I finished, through here, placing my hook all the way through, taking a single band, and I'm just going to carefully feed it through and place both ends on my hook like so. Taking the top band, I'm going to slide it straight over the other band and over the end of my hook, pull tight. Whoops-a-daisy, pulled too tight. That generally doesn't happen with these bands, I have to say. So I'm just going to do that again. Got a bit carried away and pulled too tight, but never mind. Generally these bands are really durable. Just going to do the same thing again, just pull. There we go. I'm going to remove this half now from my loom. Like so. These bands do hold the shape much better as well. They come out a bit more chunky because they're a bit thicker and a bit more durable, unless you put them too tight. I'm going to hide this band here that I've used for tying off. So I'm just going to take my hook, going in through a couple of the bands, and I'm just going to sort of feed and weave this band through. Sorry, I think I went off camera. Like so. Just keep going until you're happy it's all hidden. There we go. Okay. So there's one half of our telly. We're going to add it on now to the first section that we made. So if you stretch it out, you'll see, if I can stretch it with one hand, that you've got these little circle bands here that sort of stick out like a bit of a frilly edge here. These will be the ones that attach themselves along this edge here. So it's the edge where you've got the white, not the solid edge of black. You just want to start at one end and you're just hooking each of the bands onto each of these pins here. So finding the top one, which is sort of sticking out the top here, and I'm just hooking that around the first edge, stretching it out, finding the next two, which are mine are black, onto the next pin, again finding the next two bands and hooking them around the next pin. You're just working your way down, putting at each band, each little sort of circle of bands around each pin until you get to the bottom. So that's what you'll have, like so. So you're going to add in the tiny band on that one, just to keep it hidden, it'll secure it a bit more. So this is what we have now. Just need to add on some horizontal bands and then we can loop up and we'll be finished. So, same as we did before, you're just laying them straight across your loom, like so, and I'm using black all the way up again. If you need more time to add the extension piece, then please feel free to pause the video, come back when you're ready. I'll still be here. There we go. And now again we can loop, and we're looping in the exact same way as we just have for the first part. So we're going in through this cap band here, finding the top two bands, and we're looping it over. I'm ever so sorry, I've forgotten to add in the stand. So we're going to loop that back. We need to make the stand. If you don't want a stand, then just carry on and loop it up. But I forgot to add on the stand because I'm silly. So to make the stand, which is this little sort of T-shaped bit here, brain like a sieve, we're going to use doubled bands. Okay, so we're going to go down 4 times with doubled bands. So you can just sort of do them like this if you wish, or you can do them on your fingers. And we're going down 4 times. And then we're going to cap it off. Oops. You can double the band if you wish, which is generally what I do. So you just double the band, place it around, and then you double it again. My fingers, there we go. Then you place it around. I'm just going to make the little part that goes from, this is the bottom of the stand, we're going to make the bit that goes between the bottom and the TV screen, and we're going down twice with this. I'm going to try and do this so that you can still see. Okay, and again you'll need to cap this bit off. So I'm just doubling it around the pin and then doubling it again, like so. I'm going to loop it forwards. This is the shorter chain I'm looping because we will need to add this into the main one, or the bigger one. Okay, just remove that from your loom, like so. You get a very, very tiny, really tight little chain there, and we're going to add this onto the center pin on our longer chain. So you've got 5 pins covered, so you just want to add it onto the 3rd pin. Okay, I'll try and do this so you can see, but it's a bit tricky to not get my hands in the way. So you're just stretching them over, so it's like this, it's sort of sticking out at the side. There. You can now loop this up. Like so. And the bands are tighter, simply because they're doubled bands. And we're going to have to tie this off as well. So again, same as we did on the other one, you're putting your hook through all of the bands, taking a single black band, and you're just bringing it round and tying it off as a slip knot. And once you've done that, you can remove it. But like I say, they're very tight around the pins. There we go. And you get this little T shape, like this, there. And what you will need to do, and this is a bit fiddly, I will warn you, is taking your hook, you want to go in through the part that's sticking up and place your hook through what was the cap band. Let's get a couple of those on there, and you're looping it around this pin here, so it's the same side as you've added the extension on, but it's the one right at the bottom, and this means it will just sit central like so. It looks a bit funny at the moment. Don't worry about this, we'll hide this once it's all looped up and taken off. So now we're going to loop up. So we're just taking the bottom 2 from inside the cap band and looping, or that's just one. So I'm going to go in and get the 2nd band and looping it over, going back in again, finding the next 2 bands, looping them to whichever pin they've come from, and looping forwards. I'm going to work up this edge first, just because it's the easiest edge to loop, and we'll do the tricky one at the end. So you're just looping forwards, pushing all other bands out of the way, and looping straight up, as we have done previously, and the same up the centre. Okay, when you come to do this edge, all you need to remember is that you're just pushing all other bands out the way and looping up just the bottom 2, so you're going in through all the other bands on the pin, finding the bottom 2, carefully looping forward. Just remember that the bands on these pins there'll be more tension in them, so just be careful that you don't get a broken band, which hopefully I won't. As I said before, generally these bands are quite good. When they're not pulled too tight by people trying to do tutorials. But compared to other bands that I have used, these are really good, and you generally don't get them. Don't know why I keep saying generally, but you don't get broken bands as a rule. So you'll be unlucky if you do get one with these bands. So again, now we're all looped up. The extension and the stand should be where you left them, basically, because you've only done the bottom 2. If it's moved, then you'll need to go back and just make sure that you have only done the bottom 2 and nothing else. So again, we're finding the ones that are on top, and as you can see, if I slide these ones up out the way where I've looped it, you can see here that these ones here are on top of these ones here. So as this band is going around these pins, I'm going in through here and looping it into the centre. I'm pushing those bands down, oops, like so, and then going in through this centre pin and finding those bottom two and looping, oops, out. And I don't want to stay on the pin. It is a very full pin, to be honest, because it's got the extension and everything on it. And again, we're going to tie it off in the same way as we have done before. So, taking a single black band, just putting your hook through all of the bands on that pin, taking your single black band, and you're just sliding it up and round and making sure both ends of the band are on your hook, and then you're just sliding it over and giving it a gentle tug like that. Once this is tied, you can remove from your loom. Just in case you're wondering why I keep swapping hooks, it's just my own personal preference. There's no other real reason behind it. The lilac-y coloured one I use, other than the fact that I really like the colour. It's just slightly bigger than this gold one, so for general hooking it is good, but for removing things I find that the gold one's better. So it's just my way, really, just my habit. I think everyone has them. I don't see why looming should be any different. Same as I prefer to lay everything out before I loop. I'm sure other people would prefer to loop first. So, as you can see, there's a difference there's a difference between having the bands doubled and not having them doubled. This is more of a widescreen TV, it would seem. This band here, I'm just going to wrap this around here rather than trying to hide it within, because the bands are so tight and it is tricky to do that. So just get it as tight as you can without curling this bottom part. There we go. There's your stand. So there we are. So this is Daisy Loom bands. They do come up more chunky, and I do find that when you're making a design, they do hold the shape much better as well. That's just from normal bands that I would use. These are just made with normal bands, and I've used doubled, so there's quite a considerable difference in size, which I actually think this one looks better, looks more TV-like, but either way. If you don't, you can just hide this band in the same way as you have done before, or you can just have it for hanging. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to leave it on this one. So there we go. There's our TV charm, and I hope you've enjoyed making it and you like how yours has turned out, and it's not too tricky. I don't think it's too tricky. I will put the links for the Mega Value pack, which is what these bands are from. I will also say that in that pack you do get extra black and white bands, which generally in packs you don't get very many, and black and white are probably the most used colour bands. They sort of crop up quite a lot whether you're making bracelets or charms or whatever you're making, so that's a really good bonus as well. I am on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put all the details for those in the description box below as well. So there we go. There's a TV charm. And I don't know if I said, please hit like and comment, let me know what you think of the design and of the tutorial, and subscribe as well. That would be lovely, and you'll get notified then when I bring out new tutorials. So there we go. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.